Recent reports indicate something that Canucks fans definitely don't want to hear, and Carson Soucy speaks out on the team. I'll get into this all later on in this episode, but before I start, I just want to say to thousands of you watching that aren't subscribed, if you're enjoying this daily Canucks content and you never want to miss another episode, make sure to go down, hit that subscribe button, as we'll be here all season long giving you updates from around the Canucks. But with that, let's hop straight into the first topic today, which is Soucy speaks out on the team. So there was a recent interview with Carson Soucy, and he kind of just spoke on a lot of things. The first thing he did kind of talk about and was asked about was his injuries this year. And he says, I don't think so. I mean, it's unfortunate they happen so close together. But no, you can't really change your game. That's just hockey. I mean, injuries are going to happen. You kind of got to play through it. Obviously, Carson Soucy has been having an outstanding year. With him in the lineup, the Canucks are super positive when it comes to wins, plus minus, and just overall controlling the game. Him and Ian Cole have been honestly an outstanding pairing, and having them as a third pairing shutdown just a decor, it's been outstanding having him without in the group. He does continue on and kind of just talk about his play style and his physicality, where he says, I think that's kind of to be expected, just more intense games. Everyone's fighting for points down the stretch. He said physicality is just going to continue to ramp up, especially in the playoffs. That first round, that's like the best part of it, knowing that it's the playoffs and knowing that physicality is ramping up. This is another great thing about Soucy. Not only has he been an outstanding just shutdown defenseman, but he has been a physical defenseman as well. He keeps people out of the front of the net and just engages in board play quite some time. So the big thing with Soucy is, yes, he was dealing with injuries throughout the season. One of them was unfortunate by blocking a shot. But the big thing with this is he is back, he is healthy, and the Canucks are looking to continue making this push to make a deep run in the playoffs. Now, talking about that, he does talk about just team commitment as well. There's a lot of skills with Hughes and the top 9 forwards, but there's also just a big commitment to playing a team game. I think that's why we've had a lot of success. And once again, the Canucks are one of the best teams in the NHL. They tried to clinch for a playoff spot, but they did end up losing to the Kings the other night. But they are going to continue looking to clinch and end up hopefully winning the President's Trophy along the way and hoping for a deep run. Now, talking about runs, talking about playoffs, he did just talk about the playoff experience and how the team lacks a tiny bit. I think just as a D group, we do a really good job this year surfing in. I think my gaps have been kind of the best they've been in my career. I think just working on skating, but also with a group, we kind of just surf up. We're always kind of an opponent's face. So like I said, as much as this team doesn't really have the playoff experience, or maybe don't have just everything that you look for a lot of guys, you are looking at just Carson Soucy saying, yes, this team is looking to make a deep run. There's so much commitment. Yes, he did miss some time, but the big thing is he is back and healthy. And I know a lot of guys are out of this lineup. I know the Canucks might have struggled for a few games, blowing a couple leads and end up losing to the Kings. But this team is still one of the top teams, not only in the West, but in the NHL. They're looking to be the second team in the NHL to clinch a playoff spot behind the New York Rangers. And it looks like, as I've been saying, they're going to go on a deep run. They want to go on a deep run, and they're committed. They're bought in. They want to win the Stanley Cup. So what's your thoughts on what Soucy said? Are you worried about the lack of experience maybe this D-core has, or just the team in general? What's your thoughts on Soucy when he's in the lineup compared to when he's not in the lineup? And what line do you want to see Carson Soucy play? I know right now it is just him and Ian Cole on the third pairing. But this pairing looks outstanding. Obviously, Hronek and Hughes looks great. But this is their best shutdown pairing. And honestly, I want it to stay like this when it goes in from now to the end of the season into the playoffs. But with that, let's hop straight into the second topic today, which is, this is not what fans want to hear. Now, Rick Tocchet just kind of did speak to the media, and he was asked about Elias Lindholm. And he said, somewhat maintenance day, and we're going to look at some stuff and evaluate every day. I don't know at this point shutting him down, to be honest. It's just about how it feels, and we'll see how it shapes out day to day. Now, obviously, the big thing with Lindholm, he hasn't been the most consistent player since getting into the lineup. The injury now just doesn't make things easier. He was having a great year with the Calgary Flames. He made the All-Star game, But since he's made it to the Canucks, he's kind of struggled to put up points and just be consistent within this lineup. We've seen him go from the first line to the second line to winger to center, back down to the third line, and now he's ultimately out of this lineup. This goes in with Dakota Joshua, Thatcher Demko. This team has dealt with injuries, but they've always pushed through it. Maybe this little rest, maintenance days, whatever it might be with Lindholm, maybe this is exactly what he needs for them to just kind of get him out of the lineup, let it get his mind right, just think of how he can help his game. Defensively, he has been outstanding, but he needs to start putting points up. Maybe this is just promoting him to the top line, the second line, keeping him on the third, whatever it might be. Lindholm seems like he might be out of this lineup for a while, and hopefully he does get back for the playoffs. At the very least, you have a great defensive guy that can play penalty kill time, and at the very best, you have a guy that's going to be an absolute game changer once you get into the playoffs. Now, talking about players with injuries as well, there was a report that came out in the Donnie and Dolly show today, and they were talking about Dakota Joshua. And Donnie said, but everything I know and the way this guy is gearing up, and it could have a monster playoff or it could not, I don't know. But I'm pretty sure he can get over $3 million on July 1st. We'll see what happens. Now, this is not something anyone wants to hear. The Canucks are going to be looking to just hopefully get their UFAs, their RFAs. They have a lot of people signed. Lindholm's a guy, Hronik's a guy, Dakota Joshua's a guy that they were talking about today, and how he might outprice himself out of the Canucks. Now, when you do look at Dakota Joshua, this has been one of his best seasons, and it has been his best Canucks season. You can see in 53 games, he has 13 goals, 13 assists, 26 points, a plus 16, which is a huge jump from last season when you can see that he was a minus 16. But this guy, if he was in this lineup every day, if he wasn't out with an injury, I don't think there's any just question on him scoring 20 goals. The biggest thing with Dakota Joshua, and no pun intended with him being big, is the fact that in 14 minutes time on ice, he still has 195 hits, and he ultimately helped this Canucks third line look absolutely outstanding. This third line was the best third line in the NHL, and advanced statistics show that it was one of the best lines in the entire NHL when he was healthy. So seeing that he might outprice himself, especially if he comes back, continues to tear it up, just molds this third line again and has a giant playoffs, maybe the Canucks are going to be in the situation being like, hey, we want to sign you long term, but we can't give you as much as you might get in the open market. Dakota Joshua seems like he loves this team, but hopefully the Canucks can offer him the contract to keep him here, and hopefully he ends up staying on this team and retiring as a Vancouver Canuck. So what's your thoughts on this? How long do you think Lindholm's going to be out? Where do you want Lindholm in the lineup? I know there's a lot of mixed feelings about him, but ultimately I do think at the very least, like I said, you get a penalty killer that can still produce a tiny bit of offense. And what's your thoughts on Dakota Joshua? How much do you think he gets if he hits the open market? How long would you sign him? And do you want him back just as the playoff starts, or do you rather him just kind of sit, get healthy, and come in for game one? But with that, let's hop straight into everyone's favorite topic, which is comment of the day. And the comment of the day today comes from Vance. He says, awesome video. Hoglander is Pettersson's best friend away from the rink. It's such a good decision by the organization to take the time to help him develop. And this was a big thing that I kind of talked about at the start of the season. Hoglander just kind of struggled to start the year. Last season, they let him sit in Abbotsford, develop his game, and ever since he's came up, he hasn't looked back, and he's been outstanding. He's in the top 6. It doesn't seem like he'll ever leave this top 6, and it seems like he's just in the way of having a season that's going to look like no other season of his, and I think he's going to really break out in the playoffs. If you want to be featured on the next episode of Canucks Digest, make sure to go down, leave a comment, ask questions, whatever it might be, leave it down in the comment section. While you're down there, make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, as I said, and if you didn't enjoy this, well, hopefully you enjoy the next episode, and then you can subscribe during that one. But with that, take care.